thank you so much for joining us today. Today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite topics when it comes to Microsoft Excel, and that's VLOOKUPs. I know Microsoft Excel has a lot of really cool capabilities, but VLOOKUPs is one of the ones that I use the most, and I find it to be pretty helpful. The idea with VLOOKUPs is you can take data from multiple tables or multiple tabs within Excel and kind of combine them together, assuming that there's something in that matches up. So let's just get right down to it. This is a spreadsheet for petty manufacturing. And let's do a quick tour of the spreadsheet so you know what we're talking about. This is all made up data, fictitious data. And so the idea is that this is a factory that makes three products: widget 1, widget 2, and widget 3. And this spreadsheet here, or this tab, this data set is it's an hourly log for each product for the number that was produced and the number of errors that there were. And so you can see here on the 1st of January of 2023 at 1 a.m. they produced 9,000, a little over 9,000. By 2 a.m. they produced a little over 12,000, blah, blah, blah. And it goes down for, let's see, how many rows is this? 6,400 rows. So basically I did it for like three different products. You only see one product, but I just kind of copied and pasted the whole thing. Anyway, here we have customers. So these are our commercial customers. Again, these are all made up. There's 19 customers here, and we have customer name, street address, city, street, zip, the salesperson, which these match up with people, employees, and then units purchased. And then here we have, these are the actual orders that have been made. Again, fictitious information. Here is employees that work for our factory. Everybody has an employee ID. This is their street address. Let's correct this. And then their city, state, zip. This is also our employees from a different data set, but it has their employee ID, their full name, and their manager's employee ID. So it would make sense for these two tables to kind of join together. And we'll show that here in a little bit. And then this is for an example that I'm going to show you here in a little bit. This will show you a little bit of the downfall of VLOOKUPs, but I wanted to show you the cool parts of it first. So let's go into our orders. So we have, these are all the orders that have been made, and we have for each order the customer ID, but we don't have the name of the customer. We don't have the address of the customer. We just have information about the order itself. So let's say customer name, and then here you see the customer ID. If we go into the customer tab, there's a customer ID here. One important thing to note is when you're referencing information, the information in the table that you're referencing has to be to the left of the information, because it's going to count out how many columns of the cell you want to respond back to. So if I wanted to come back with the customer name, for instance, I would be looking at the customer ID, and I'm going to say, look at the customer ID. It could return this back itself. So this would be column number 1. Column number 2 is what it would come back with. So if we wanted to do this, we're going to say equals, all formulas start with equal, VLOOKUP, and then lookup value. So this is the customer ID that we are interested in finding out more about. The table array. So let's go back to our customers. And this is the source that we're going to look at. This has the information. So all we really need to do is those two. We could do the whole thing. I would really recommend doing all columns. Meaning A:(F), instead of just highlighting the table. That way, if more information gets added to anything, it will automatically get added to the VLOOKUP later. All right. Column index number. So this is what I was talking about. Customer ID is our lookup value, but it's also return value or return column number one. What we are actually looking for is the customer name, which would be column number two. So this will make sense once you see it. And then range lookup, approximate match or exact match. I almost always go with false. I don't know that I've ever used true actually. And there we go. It responded back with the name. Now, if we were to say 1 here, this is that column index number. You see how it responds back with the customer ID. If we were to say 3, it's responding back with the address. So it's just basically counting over how many columns where 1 is itself. So this is what we want to do. And then you just double click there, and this will fill out the names of all of the orders that we have, customers. What other information do we want to get? We want to get the street address, and then the, actually let's do the salesperson. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, orders, salesperson. So I can actually cheat here. Oop, that's not what I wanted to do. I can actually cheat here, copy that in, and since I know I just counted out this is the 5th row, this is the salesperson. All right. And now we can look at what the units. No, we don't need that. We want maybe we want the city state zip. So this would be 4. So let's go through the whole process. City state zip equals Vlookup. We're still referencing the customer ID. Go over to customers, and we're wanting 1, 2, 3, 4. The 4th column, false. Oh, what did we do wrong? A through 4. Oh. All right, let's start this one over. My bad. Vlookup, customer ID. Go to the customers tab. We want to highlight all the columns here. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the one we're wanting. And false. That's going to work. There we go. Okay, so now we have information about all of our orders. Let's do the same thing for employees. So we have, again, all of our employee IDs, our full name of employees, and then the managers. So let's say we want to know what's the manager's name. Okay, Vlookup. All right, in this case, this is our manager ID that we want to look at. And then this is really the source, right? Because these are all the employees. I'm going to return the 2nd column, false. So now, in this case, the way I dealt with this is I randomly assigned manager IDs on the first 10. So these are the only managers that we have in the organization, and then they just keep getting repeated over and over. Everybody else is an individual contributor. So we want to know the street address and the city state zip of our employees. Street address, city state zip. All right, Vlookup. This is our employee ID. The table array, we've got to start with the employee ID to the left. We're going to do both of those columns. And this is column 1, column 2. So we're doing street address, column 2, and false. Now, this one we know is the same, but column 3. So I can just copy and paste the whole formula. And there you go. So now we're just copying all those down. And there we go. So hopefully this gives you a good example or some good examples of how VLOOKUPs work. Let me show you where there could be a problem. Now, let's say that you've done you're going to do an event for your company, and you have people sign up that they want to attend this event, and there's an event planner. The event planner comes to you and says, hey, these are all the people that signed up for the event, and I want to get these people's, what do we have for these? I want to get their manager's name. Okay? So in this case, we only have a list of names. We don't have their employee IDs. So we're going to do the lookup based on their name, because that's really all we have. Manager. Okay, so we're going to do a VLOOKUP based on the name. And then we're going to go over here to this gives us, actually we don't need that. We want that, right? Because this is what we're looking up. So this is what we want on the left. And we're returning the third column. This is our first, second, third. Third, false. All right. So that's the name of the manager. I'm going to bring this down. Okay, see where we have a problem. Now, let us filter by NA so we can take a look at these. All right, so we have Anthony Patrick signed up and Marianne McLean signed up. So let's look for Anthony Patrick. Anthony Patrick. There is no Anthony Patrick. Is there an Anthony? No. Is there a Patrick? There is a Patrick, but it's in here as Tony Patrick. So HR knows this person as Tony, but when they signed up for it, they went by Anthony. So let's change their first name here to Tony to match what. Yep, there we go. We've got an actual user or person there. Let's look at this one. Marianne McLean. We'll do the same exercise. Let's see, what was the spelling of Marianne? Okay. M-A-R-Y-A-N-N-E. Okay. Marianne McLean. Marianne McLean. Okay, you can see the difference is here there's a space, where here there's no space. So the point that I'm trying to make is sometimes you have people who just misspell the name, and sometimes you have where a person has an official name, like my real name is Benjamin Petty. HR would know me as Benjamin Petty, but if I were to sign my name for something, or sign up for an event or whatever, I would probably use Ben Petty. So that's where these lists or VLOOKUPs can be not perfect. But note that in this case, I still had 80 or so % success rate. And so I was able to save myself from having to manually look up most of these names. And then by filtering down just the errors, I was able to more easily see where the errors are, look into each one of those, and then I actually was able to rectify the situation. So I've been able to do this, a very similar exercise to this on a very large data set, and save like a day of work of manually having to go back and forth and reference data just by doing VLOOKUPs, and then filter it down to, okay, what are my errors, and then look at each one of those errors, and then you can start seeing patterns with that too. So anyway, I just wanted to go through that, but hopefully you see where the benefits are of using VLOOKUPs, where you can really uh, get some better insight or collect more information about things, combine data from multiple sources. The only thing is you have to have something in common with the tables, and so it really comes down to the data. But anyway, hopefully you found this to be helpful, and we'll see you in a future video. Thank you for joining.